Hey guys, I'm back with another video, and I'm really excited for this one because I know it's going to sound crazy, but could South Korea, how good can South Korea be, and could they actually be fighting for the World Cup? I don't think they would be fighting for the World Cup. There's no way, because if you look at one of their last games, they lost 5-1 to Brazil, and at home. But they did beat Chile 2-0 at home. So, how good can South Korea be in the 2022 World Cup? Now I know they have a hard group, but I want to go over what are the realistic expectations? Like what can we expect from South Korea? I want to say that because they have a hard group, they got Portugal, Uruguay, and Ghana in their group. That's a really hard group. Like Portugal's a top team. Uruguay's a top team. Ghana, not top team, but still a very good African nation. South Korea haven't really been tested yet, but I want to go over it. The last time I talked about South Korea on this channel was the 2002 World Cup scandal, where South Korea probably were getting a lot of help from the referees because they finished fourth in the 2002 World Cup. But it was at Japan and South Korea. So it was probably a referee scandal. But yeah. But their team now is a lot better. And could we actually see them fighting for like maybe semifinals or quarterfinals? Legit. I don't want this to be like something again where they just fraud their way through. Because they actually have been doing well. They won against Chile yesterday 2-0 at home. They did, like I said before, they did lose 5-1 to Brazil, which shows that they're not a top team yet, unfortunately. They're not like a very top team. But their team, in my opinion, is a good team. Like they got Heung-min Son, who's at Tottenham, one of the best players in the world. Got tied for top goal scorer in the Premier League. On top form right now. He's the captain of the team. I think he's going to do really well. Other notable players are Hwang Ki-chan, Hwang Yu-jo, Kim Min-jae, Lee Kang-in, some other good players, but those are like good players, like, and also Joe Hyun Woo. So yeah, just some players I wanted to mention now. So some players that I do think are very good players. Some play in Europe. One plays in Korea, I think. The goalkeeper plays in Europe, but they've also done well. They only really lost like one game in qualifiers. Yeah, they only lost one game, and that was on the final game against UAE. It was the worst. Apparently, the manager said it was the worst defeat in like a long time. Losing to UAE on final game, not great. But they did win against Iran, who are heavy favorites, being the best team in Asia for World Cup 2022. They won 4-0 against Moldova in a qualifier. They won like every single game. They won a lot of games. That's all I can say. They had 7 wins, 2 draws, and 1 loss. Iran had 8 wins, 1 draw, and 1 loss. So if they didn't lose, they probably would have won. And like that, again, that third round was Iran, UAE, Iraq, Syria, Lebanon. Well, I would say the third round was maybe a bit more, had a bit more strength as Saudi, Japan, Australia, Oman, China, and Vietnam. The team is still good. Like that group is still good. Like Iran, UAE, and by the way, UAE today just lost to Australia 2-1. So Australia will be playing Peru. Peru to see who gets in the World Cup. My opinion, I think South Korea is a better team than Australia and Peru does, because the Australia team, I mean, it's not on good form. Like they tied to Oman, they lost against Saudi, and Japan. It's not looking good, that Australia team, in my opinion. But this South Korea team does look good. They won 5-1 against Iceland in January in a friendly. I know it's a friendly, but the team is good. And now I want to talk about the World Cup, their group. So their group is going to be Portugal, Ghana, Uruguay. I want to talk about the other teams now. Portugal. Now, it's really close to tell where Portugal is, because although they do have great players like Ronaldo, Bruno Fernandes, Bernardo Silva, Ruben Diaz, few other players like João Felix. He's a good player. They have not been doing so good on international stage. Like, they lost to Serbia. I know Serbia doesn't sound like a great team, but Serbia does actually, in my opinion, have a good shot at being like a dark horse. Or South Korea could be like a dark horse. And if you see South Korea being a dark horse, I wouldn't be surprised because, in my opinion, their team is good. So, Portugal, although they have like one of the best teams in the World Cup, in my opinion, they have a great squad. I feel like the management isn't so great. Like the manager's not that great. He's gonna, I forgot his name. And like he's been there for a while. So I wouldn't say, I think it's Nuno. Yeah, I'm not sure. He hasn't, I wouldn't say he's been great recently. They're losing to Serbia, and they kind of bottled it with drawing to Ireland. Yeah, and so yeah. Now we go to Ghana. Now again, I said Ghana. While I do think their team is strong, it's not, in my opinion, it's going to be finished bottom. It's going to be close between South Korea and Ghana for that bottom spot. But South Korea do have some very quality players, like I said before. Ghana, I feel like their team is a bit aging. Like, you got Andre Ayew, Thomas Partey's are probably their best player, although he is in his prime. I think he's like 28, 29, somewhere around there. Not a lot of other players come to mind. Now, although they do have, they do know how to in the World Cup. Their last World Cup was in 2014. They also did very well in 2010. Could have made it to the semifinals. Could have been the first ever nation semifinals. But their performances before then weren't great, especially in 2022. In AFCON, like they got knocked out in their group, bottom. They lost to Morocco, tied to Gabon, and lost to Comoros. If you haven't seen my Comoros video, you should watch it because I talked about the rise of Comoros. Losing to Comoros is not great. And then in the World Cup qualifying, they tied 0-0 at home against Nigeria. And then they tied 1-1 away from home against Nigeria, and then won because of away goals. So they got kind of lucky, but credit to them, credit to scoring. And then so far, they in their latest games was on June 1st and June 5th. It was both 2023 AFCON qualifying 3-1 win against Madagascar. They didn't win against Madagascar, that would have been good. But a 1-0 draw against Central African Republic doesn't seem great. They're going to be competing in the 2022 Kirin Cup. I'm not sure about that. On June 10th. And then they also got more AFCON. And the World Cup is on November 24th. So, yeah. And then we go to the final team, Uruguay. Now, Uruguay, they do have some great players. Suarez, Cavani. Coutinho's okay. Bentancur doing pretty good, and they are on some pretty good. They're on a pretty good run. They haven't lost a game yet in 2022, so that's pretty good. And like they are doing pretty good. And I feel like they have a bit of an aging squad. Like Suarez, Cavani, both in mid-30s. Godin, like I just said, he is in his late 30s, I think. Playing now in Brazil. I wouldn't say that he's going to be starting. Jimenez is a good player, though. He hasn't had the best time, though, at Atletico last season. He wasn't so great. And then, got some players, we got some other players, like Bentancur, like I said, he was on great form with Tottenham. And they haven't lost a game in 22. They've won all and just tied one. It was a friendly against the U.S. On June 5th. Let's go, U.S. But they gotta maybe improve maybe a bit because their squad, their goalie Muslera, what is he, 35 now? Yeah, he's playing at Galatasaray. Again, they got some good players like Diogo Godin. Jimenez is a very good player. Araujo, I forgot to mention him. He's a very good player, young, talented. Some other good players are Mauro Rambi, Arambari, Lucas Torreira. Oh, Valverde, I forgot to mention him. Darwin Núñez, the next Suarez or something like that. They do have a very good squad, but they gotta improve. I think it's the back line. They got Jimenez, but other than that, there's not really other, Godin is kind of old, and there are some good fullbacks. But I think it's a good team. I do think that they have a very good squad, but maybe the team is a bit old, like it's a bit aging, and they also have a pretty good coach in Diego Alonso. So I do see them doing well. But now to South Korea. South Korea team, I think it's a good team. Wow, like I don't like if they do a 2022 again, like I mean in 2002, then I'm not gonna be annoyed. But it's not in South Korea. But they have done well in 2022 so far. Only 2 losses, 1 to UAE, which was only the final game, and they really shouldn't have lost. And also a friendly against Brazil, and they lost 5-1 against Brazil. Even 2021, they didn't lose a single game in 2021. Won all their games in 2021 and only tied 2. So I think that's very good. And then they got a few more friendlies coming up on June 10th and 14th, playing against Paraguay and Egypt. And they also play in the 2022 EAFE1 football championship. They play against China, Hong Kong, and Japan in July, in late July. So they will be playing some games, and I think that's good because the World Cup starts in late November, around Thanksgiving time. So I think that their team is good. They got, again, I mentioned some very good players. Their current manager is Paulo Bento, so not so bad of a coach. And then, like I said, if you remember 2018 World Cup, you had Joe Hyun Woo. He was amazing. I remember he had made some really good teams against Sweden, Germany. Was very good there. And then got some other good players like Kim and Jae doing great at Fenerbahce. I think Kim and Jae. And then you got Heung-min Son, Hwang Yu-jo did a great season with Bordeaux. Then you got some other really good players. So I hope they can keep this up. Lee Jae-sung is another good player. And then I just hope they can keep the rhythm up of having a pretty good season, because if they do well, we could see a very good team and a dark horse. In my opinion, South Korea are a bit of a dark horse because you got Portugal, Ghana, Uruguay, who are all very good teams. But there's a but though, because if they finish runner-up in Group H, which is the group they are in, then they would have to play the winner of Group G. And you know who's probably going to be the winner of Group G? Brazil. Because it's Brazil, Serbia, Switzerland, and Cameroon. I mean, Serbia is good. I already said that Serbia is a very good team. Switzerland, Cameroon's probably going to finish bottom. They didn't really do so good, and they really shouldn't be in the World Cup, because I think that, again, another referee scandal happened in the qualifying. And then Switzerland, I mean, they did knock out France in the Euros, but I think that was a bit luck. And then Serbia, again, they have a very good team, but it's definitely not near Brazil. So if they did finish runner-up, which is probably going to be likely because Portugal and Uruguay both have really good teams, then they will probably have to match up Brazil, and they just lost 5-1 in Brazil. Although if they did win Group H, then maybe they would have a better one. Then they would have to play the runner-up of Group G, which is probably going to be Serbia or Switzerland. And even then, that's still a pretty hard group. So I do think they are a dark horse, but it's going to be unlikely to get even past round 16. They're going to be probably either playing Brazil if they second, or if they top it, Serbia or Switzerland. So it's very hard. But what do you guys think are their expectations? Do you think they are a dark horse? So I hope you guys like my video. I hope that you guys also think that South Korea are a dark horse, because I think they are a potential dark horse, in my opinion. They could do well, but again, they're in a really hard group. So, hope you guys like this video, and I'll see you guys next time. See ya.